Stop for afternoon tea, so we better get cracking. We're going to be looking at fintechs enabling corporate innovation a little later, the fintech market in Southeast Asia, and scaling without failing, which not only rhymes, is kind of quite good advice. But for this point in time, we're going to look at scaling and building a bank in less than 12 months, which is about the same time it generally takes for my checks to be cleared. The AMP and Engine by Starling story. And to do that, we're joined by moderator Noel Williams, who's a partner at PwC, Max Johnson, the program delivery lead at Engine by Starling, Srikanth Yalamanchili, who's the director at PwC, and Sean O'Malley, the group executive at AMP Bank Limited. Please give them a hand as they come up to the stage. Come and grab a chair. I'm going to leave it in your excellent and capable hands. And if it's easy, I'll have a crack later on.
Testing, yep, okay, we're on. The mics are live, so be aware. Let's just do a quick little intro so everyone can see who we are. So we've got Sean O'Malley, CEO of AMP Bank, Srikanth Yalamanchili, who works with me at PwC, but really, I guess, brings his expertise in digital banking and payments to this program, and Max Johnson from Engine by Starling. So I think what everyone will be really interested in this room is 12 months. That is extremely quickly to build a new bank. There's been no lack of attempts in the market, both with the neobanks, the majors, at facing into core replacement, new core, and just really the art of the possible in terms of digital banking, ecosystems, and what that means for customers, and how do you grow that base going forward with compelling propositions. Three of you have been in this journey for 12 months. I've actually not been on it, so I'll try to bring along some of that perspective from the audience, which is the what have you built, how did you do that, but also why, why did we build this? Now, I understand you guys are less than a month from account number 1, and Sean, will you be the first customer?
I will, yes, we are. We're 20-something days, I think, from our soft launch, and so very exciting. And I do have the privilege of being number 1 customer for this new division of our bank, so very excited.
And do you have a transaction planned? Are you going to go buy something special?
I do. We've been talking about that a bit. I wanted to go to the pub and buy a round of drinks, but my media and comms team weren't very happy about that. So we are making our first purchase, actually a social enterprise that is backed by the AMP Foundation.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, on behalf of all of us here on this stage, I think we're all really looking forward to that moment, and glad it'll be to a good cause. So, Sean, can you take us a little bit through why AMP wanted to do this? You're a very established bank, you're an established brand, market share, incumbency, and all of that. So why a new bank?
Yeah, absolutely. We are. For those out there who don't know, AMP Bank is 26 years old, so we've been around for quite a while. We're part of a 175-year-old group, AMP, which very well established. It started for us about looking at where we saw market opportunity. So it started with a scan of the market to say, where do we think there's an opportunity for us to grow our bank? And we landed in a place that said small business is a sector that presents huge opportunity. We don't think the big banks and other size banks have done a great job, particularly at the small end of small business. I think for those who are just here, you heard Angus Taylor talk about 98% of businesses in Australia are small business. They really are the engine of Australia. And so we identified an opportunity for us as a bank to move out of our homeland, that is home lending, into small business. And then we looked at the capabilities that we had, and we quickly identified that despite being a small bank, we didn't have the capabilities that we needed to compete in a digital, a purely digital way, and that we didn't have the capabilities currently in both our business and our tech stack and our people. And so we set about looking and looking at how we might fulfill against that opportunity in small business, and that ultimately led us to the decision to partner with Engine by Starling, which we're absolutely delighted with, and ultimately led us to this decision to build a new division within the current bank. So best way to think about it is a greenfield startup within an existing bank.
And maybe, Max, you could tell us a bit about what Engine is. It is new in the Australian market, so maybe take us through that just so we can understand the capabilities that was brought to the table.
So Engine, by Starling, as the name gives away, is a subsidiary of Starling Bank. I think probably most people in this room are familiar with Starling Bank. It was founded in around 2014 by Anne Bowden, and at the time had become increasingly frustrated with the lack of innovation of the incumbents in the market at the time, so went about building her own bank. But obviously, as part of that, it was a kind of decision around, do we build the technology in-house or do we look at external providers? And it quickly became apparent that there weren't the external providers who were able to support the kind of digital ambition the team and Anne had at the time. And so they decided to build this technology in-house. And it's that technology now which we refer to as Engine. And it's a SaaS platform we're now kind of taking around the world and offering to clients. But it's not just that kind of core banking platform that was initially kind of built to start Starling Bank. It's grown from much more than just a kind of core platform into a bunch of technologies, contact center, card processing, fin crime platform. So you're getting a really thick kind of technology offering that we're able to kind of take to clients and deliver to clients. And it's really been honed, over the 10 years of running Starling Bank as well. So it gives clients something unique in the market, and it's been really interesting working with AMP and Sean on the team. And we've also had great success with our first client in Romania. I think they onboarded around 200,000 customers in the first month. So it's proving out the model, and yeah, really, really interesting times.
It is, and I suppose just to round that out then, so we had the vision, we had a capability there, but Shri, what made Engine a good fit for AMP and really, I guess, to take that leap to bring it into the Australian market?
Yeah, so expanding on what Sean and Max talked about, when we were asked around where do we play in SME, and SME is a really big market, it's hyper competitive, every bank seems to be going after it these days. It's identifying those segments of the market that we thought, well, that are going to be wowed by app-enabled banking, that need it as part of their day-to-day. That's not every single SME, that's only a segment of that market, but also then thinking about what's obtainable, desirable, and presents a good credit risk and operational risk to the bank for AMP and the strategy there. And the way we went about doing that and coming up with a purposeful approach to actually acquiring customers, and then seeing what Engine did in the UK over a 10-year period where they've got a bank. Starling has actually attracted 9% of the market. Beyond just the tech, it was also the operational model that Engine came up with. So yes, we've got the tech, it's great. Yes, we've got a strategy. Yes, we know the products we're launching with. But what are the touch points and how do we make those touch points seamless and exciting as customers come through and they go through the life cycle of banking with AMP? And I just think about my own personal situation where, for example, if you've ever had to do a power of attorney or a deceased estate, it's actually a difficult process for any bank to do. But Engine and Starling, as a reference bank, have had that experience. They know how a digital capability needs to handle itself in a situation where, for example, it may not be related to app-enabled banking. So we do a really good job, I think, in the industry of thinking about onboarding customers, issuing cards, making sure the account's in the wallet, identifying what the next steps are in terms of getting people to use that card and make payments and get their salary paid and etc. But what happens when that breaks down? And that's where Engine does have a really good operating model to handle those sorts of use cases.
Yeah, so, proven product existing in the UK, similar there in terms of, I suppose, the governance and the obligations from the regulatory landscape as well. And so I see how you could, bring that value into the Australian market. 1 year, that is quick. So I'm sure there were some sort of hard decisions along the way, a bit of adjusting, pivoting, agility. What's actually coming in 20 days? And I'd also be really interested in, is there anything you had to leave behind in that first release that you couldn't get in? Maybe it's on the roadmap, but I'm sure there's some stuff that had to be left behind as well.
Yeah, so as Sean alluded to, in less than 20 days, we're going to have a fully functioning bank that's going to have actual money with a proper account and people transacting. we've sort of delivered that, and not just in terms of just the card capability, we're also doing all the other payment rails. So we are going to go live with PayID. We've done MPP, obviously BEX, and so it's the full suite that customers would expect out of any digital-enabled banking that they wouldn't they wouldn't be wowed by, but they'd actually just want it there. And we've had to make some trade-offs, and we're still sort of working through that, because it's not just launch and forget. It's launch and continue to refine as we see customer feedback coming in and where the market's going as well. I think a good example of that, which I don't think Max would mind if I mentioned it, was overdrafts. In the UK, overdrafts are less regulated. It's in there. Starling have it today. We thought about bringing it to Australia and thought, well, the tech's there. But actually, arranged overdrafts are highly regulated in Australia, much more so than the UK. And we've sort of decided that we need to probably do a lot more localisation and customisation to get it in. And that's sort of been pushed back, but that'll still come. And so it's not about letting perfect be the enemy of good, but we're launching with great, and then we're going to refine and continue to launch new products as they come along.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a broader roadmap that's coming. Is there anything that you'd want to sort of signal on there on that future state vision and how that expands?
Yeah, there's definitely a future roadmap coming. I think what Shree said is right. We're going to launch with a very fully featured offering, which is fantastic. If we've chosen another pathway, and to be honest, if we had chosen a pathway to do it ourselves, we wouldn't have been launching with as fully featured a product as we will very shortly. Q1 of next year will be public launch. There are a couple of other, I think, critical decisions that we made very early on that actually have allowed us to move really at pace to be able to get live inside 12 months. We made a very deliberate decision about a greenfield bank that stood up that is largely disconnected from our existing division. We also made a very deliberate decision about the way that we would handle customer transition and how we'd help existing customers transition to the new division as opposed to migration. And then really importantly, and again building on what Shree said, we've made choices about not letting perfect get in the way of good. And so, and that for an incumbent bank, regardless of size, actually that's quite a cultural difference. And so that was a really big driver of being able to move quickly. In terms of what's coming, absolutely, we'll launch with both small business, which is our hero target, but also personal offerings. And so we'll launch at the same time for small business and for personal customers. We've got a roadmap that will deliver more capabilities over the next 6, 9, 12 months. And at some point in the future, we'd want to end up with one bank, not two separate divisions, but that's at some point in the future.
And Max, as the provider of the technology in the back end and the core, how did that go with you working with the customer here and working through those challenges? And I'm sure there was a bit of localization that had to happen to get into the Australian market.
I think, to Shree's point, I think you've got a kind of platform that's out of the box, so we're able to deliver certain things very quickly. And I think that's one of the real benefits of the Engine platform is that kind of fit capability. But as you said, there's always localization in every region we look at. Overdrafts, responsible lending, a much bigger list of requirements compared to the UK version, and actually the uptake in Australia is a lot lower because of it. So hence, we worked all kind of 3 teams to work out what is that kind of roadmap. So what we're going to launch with, and then waves 2 and waves 3, what we're going to kind of enhance the product with. I think one of the key benefits probably to call out is, banks around the world, have to innovate internally. They have to build their own technology. They have to partner with the likes of many in the room here, because their incumbent software and systems probably aren't capable of keeping up with the ever-changing customer expectations, the behaviours, the needs that we're seeing in society today. And that's where hopefully Engine can play a part. Working with partners like AMP, we will continually invest in this platform. Every partner will benefit from the investment we put in, as well as Starling Bank. This is obviously Starling have a lot of skin in the game here. It's their kind of innovation kind of hub as well. So we'll continue to deliver new functionality and features even when we finish this initial engagement with AMP.
And I think probably those challenges aren't particularly a surprise to anyone here, and if anyone's attempted to even make changes dramatically in your banking infrastructure and channels and all of that, and so there's always these things that come along the way that a product is not just a product. There's lots of overlays and regulatory and obligations and specifications for certain geos. So, great that you guys could work through those, and I think it sounds like it was actually quite a really collaborative relationship here, and the willingness to find the path to good and to what it needed to be to get yourselves out there, and then what that very quick roadmap is. What would be one of the challenges, I suppose, that maybe would be a surprise, something that maybe you didn't expect along the way?
Yeah, I'm happy to share a couple and then jump in, guys. I think there are a couple. I mentioned that we pretty quickly identified we didn't have the capabilities that we needed to deliver and successfully run a digital bank. A big part of that clearly is about technology, but probably the thing that has been most surprising, and I think has been most influential, is actually about the culture. And one of the culture to run at pace, and the culture to run as a pure digital, and the culture to run leveraging highly agile practices doesn't come naturally to most incumbent banks. Surprise, surprise. Any number of us who've worked in incumbent banks would know exactly what I mean. It's not, you wouldn't normally say bank and agility in the same sentence. And so a big part of our choice, again, of why to partner with PwC and why to partner with Engine was about the cultural transformation that we needed. And the cultural transformation, not just in how do you run a successful project, leveraging agile, because that's great and required, but it's not enough to be successful. But how do you actually build a truly agile business? How do you build truly agile, all the way through your business? And that's been a I won't say a surprise, but I think it's been our biggest challenge. And I'm really pleased with the progress we're making on that. I'm really pleased that it's a business that is not just going to be different for AMP Bank, but actually for the group. And that was something that we set out to do when we started this. This isn't just about success for the bank; it's actually about building a new way of working for the whole group. But it's hard going even in a brand new startup.
I think to build on that, the technology is almost a given. Yes, the timeline might alter in terms of how long that will take to deliver, but it's pretty much we know what it needs to be. The op model is primarily dictated by that technology, which is great. Again, alleviates or de-risks any kind of implementation or build. The culture is that part where it can go right, it can go wrong. And I think building a bank in 12 months. Yes, it's a feat, but I think if we hadn't got that culture right as part of the program, we wouldn't be here today. We say to anyone going to AMP, try and work out who's PwC, who's Engine, who's AMP. You can't. And I think that kind of just transparency, things go wrong, of course they have, but the openness, the honesty, I think that culture of innovation, disruptiveness is really kind of been built by the program, and will hopefully flow into this new division.
I think the PowerPoint slides give it away as to who's PwC. So we've had to overcome that as a cultural barrier for us. No slides. But one of the interesting points around the op model and around culture was when we actually seconded some of the Starling Bank staff from Cardiff and London into AMP. So as we're starting the new bank and starting the new division, hiring people was just a lot easier, getting in people that knew the Starling Bank technology and knew how to interface with service staff and operations. And that was a huge eye-opener for us around actually being customer-obsessed doesn't mean putting it on a wall and saying that's your values as an organisation or as a bank, but actually it's challenging the engineers, it's challenging the executives to say, actually, this is how customers are viewing the process of X, Y, and Z. We need to change it. We need to change the interface, the UI, UX. We need to change something that's specific to our solution. And that was something that really hit home for me was the pace of change and the ability for people to actually challenge executives and engineers and others around how things worked.
Yeah, that is really true, because you embark on a program like this, and when they're multi-year, it gets away from you before you've even built what you were planning for at the beginning. So I think this speed in getting it to market is actually probably one of the really critical success factors for you, is that you're able to do this so quickly that you're able to foresee what you're aiming for. And then that agility, I suppose, going forward and adjusting to the market as it's evolving, and the ability to partner and plug in, right, and that extensibility of the platform. Max, what's next for Engine? Are you just sticking, is this it?
Well, no,
done?
we're not forgetting about AMP anytime soon. No, we've got waves 2 and 3 with AMP, so that will continue for another year and a half. So we'll continue working with them, and we'll always be kind of here working with AMP as a partner moving forward. But we're investing quite heavily in the Australian region, building a team out in Australia, a lot of interest in Southeast Asia, New Zealand as well. So really exciting times locally, and then also obviously globally, a number of opportunities in different markets, primarily Europe and the Middle East. So yeah, exciting times, and a lot of things to deliver for clients we have, and that's going to be our main focus, and then obviously winning additional clients. But it is Starling's growth kind of ambition engine, so there's a lot of investment and backing to make sure this works.
And just final question, what's next for AMP? What are you excited about?
Yeah, well, I'm super excited about actually getting live, clearly. And so, you know, soft launch in 20-something days is going to be really, really important. We'll go live to public early next year. Early next year. So very excited about that. And then we've got a continual build out of capability for, you know, waves 2, wave 3, and beyond. I think the other thing that I'm really excited about, you know, this really gives us, whilst, you know, Engine and PwC are key partners. Actually, there's a whole ecosystem of partners that are working with us, and there'll be more partners as part of our journey to work with us. This is, you know, we're very clear that we can't do this by ourselves. We can't serve small business entirely by ourselves, and part of our point of difference is our willingness and really need to partner, including with a number of people who, and groups who are in the audience today. But I'm really excited about extending that. I think the platform gives us great connection and great interoperability, but our ability to take a more of an ecosystem approach and more of an ecosystem set of solutions to small business, I'm super excited about that.
That's fantastic. So it says what it does on the box, folks. They built a bank in under 12 months. We're going to be transacting here in less than a month. You'll see it in market early next year. I think I can say on behalf of all 3 of the organizations here on stage, we're super proud of what we've built, and just really looking forward to seeing this success going forward, and also working with a lot of you and extending that capability into market. Just say thank you to the panel.
Thank you.